Your intuition is one of the most powerful feminine traits you can live by. It is divinely given and it is always guiding you to truth, wholeness, and integrity with yourself. Most of us women are being at a time of our lives where we can't trust, we live by anxiety or even trauma, and we realize that sometimes we suppress our intuition. And I have been there, but through inner work and a lot of honesty to myself and with my environment where I come from, I have really received a level of trust and wholeness I have never experienced before. And how do we trust more? How do we follow that depth and that intuition from within? That is exactly where we're going to dive in today. So, if you are at the point of your life where you can sense that at some situation you're not trusting yourself, you don't speak up for yourself, you don't share your honest opinion, you don't set a boundary, or you even suppress your desire for a new start, a new relationship, to go somewhere else. That is all related to your intuition, because your intuition is very clear and it is very warm and it is like an energy that is guiding you to your highest self, to God, to truth. And to understand yourself better, to have better knowledge and awareness for why you're trusting yourself in the first place, we have to go back to a time where your intuition is formed, where your own sense for your intuition and yourself is developed. And that is in childhood. And this is always coming from a place of awareness and a place of understanding ourselves. And I want to share with you again this drawing. This is straight out of the workbook. And in this drawing, you see yourself, you see the child. When you're young, you are at an age where you basically absorb everything from your environment. If you haven't heard of it, there's the still face experiment. Type it in, you're going to see the video. Very interesting because it reflects back ourselves as a child, how we are connected to our caregivers, how we mirror each other back, how important it is for a child to be really seen, to be really acknowledged, and to have a room of safety. And that's why your intuition has always something to do with your nervous system. It has always something to do with the level of safety you feel within. And this level of safety is formed in your childhood. And now we are going to dive in how this environment is forming yourself, it's forming your connection to your intuition. You ask yourself very naturally, who do I have to be and what do I have to do to receive the love of my caregivers? Perfect video, again, the still face experiment. They mirror yourself back. So let's say you as a child, you speak up for yourself, you're being joyful, you express your joy or whatever it is. And your parents would shut you down, they would give you the silent treatment, they would ignore you, they would make your perspective of the world ridiculous. You learn that it is not safe to express yourself. You learn from a very young age that the way you perceive life is wrong. You better not think for yourself. You better trust the people around you and ask them what to think, how to act. Because that is what has been suggested to you over and over again. So trust issues for yourself and your intuition most of the time have something with the conditioning to do, where we come from, how they were relating to us. So go back and reflect on the way your parents related to you. Whenever you wanted to share something or whenever you wanted to take up space, was it safe for you? And especially for women, Another indicator for this safetyness and for this intuition is the relationship we have with our father. So if your father was emotionally absent, or if your father was not there, there's like already an issue with trust, because for the feminine, the father represents safety. So if your father wasn't there for you, there's already a sense, I cannot trust the masculine. I cannot trust myself, and therefore I better seek all the time for answers outside of myself. So that is another story with the father wound. Coming back to yourself, looking at your childhood, ask yourself very honestly, how did my parents relate to me, to my authentic expression, to my emotions? Could they handle the level of intensity my personality, my being gave them? Would I be shut down? Would I be left alone? Or was there room? Because intuition has always something to do with room. It has something to do with taking up space and following that voice from within. Safety comes from being present. If you are a child and you always have to get out your own truth, that is also abandoning yourself, you learn, I better suppress my own voice, I suppress and abandon my truth, because in order for me to get love and validation, I have to adjust. And that's where most of the issues of trusting your intuitions are coming from. So the first step for you is to acknowledge, how was your intuition being flourished and grown, and what kind of soil did you grow in? How was your intuition being guided and loved through? The other part is the mother figure. Your mother is your first representation of your intuition. If she was a woman of trust, of faith, of connectedness to the spiritual world, because the feminine is more connected to the spiritual realm, while the masculine is more connected to the material world. We have both within us, but while you are a woman, you're more connected to the spiritual in your natural state. So that's why we also say, when women are really operating more from a masculine energy, you can just feel it. It's a lot about material things, getting things done. It's about performance. While being more in the feminine, it's more softness, trust, being in flow, not in the head, in the body, in your heart. So intuition has a lot to do with letting go, with feeling trusted, and moreoverly, staying within your body. That's why I say, when you as a child, when you constantly zoom out of yourself, when you constantly leave yourself, your own truth, your authentic self, that becomes your normal. That becomes the way you argue, the way you go through life. And I give you my example, how I learned and how I transformed it. First of all, this is all inner work. This is awareness work. You need to see yourself from a perspective, from an outside, and you need to go back to yourself, to your inner child, to your teenage age, and see how was my environment? What is happening here? And just really becoming present and aware. And that is the first step. And then you need to start connecting back to your body. That's why it is so important to release this stagnant energy from your nervous system. And the how is the inner work. The how is trusting yourself. The how starts with being aware. Okay, wait, why do I not trust myself now? Why am I be so critical with myself? Why am I not speaking up? So I'm giving you a personal example. When we get up, I always light up some candles, we meditate, I journal, I drink a cup of coffee, and then I might get ready. I use an iron in the bathroom or whatever. And then later, if there's a day we are leaving the house, I would realize a pattern. We would leave the house, and in that moment, we would close the door. A pattern kicks in, every time the same. And I would be so anxious, and I wouldn't trust myself that I would have blown out the candles. I turned off the coffee machine and I unplugged the iron. And I did that. 100% I did that. But in the back of my mind, that voice, oh, can I count on you? Did you do it? Did you really do it? And what would I do? I would confirm that I'm not trusting myself. I would go back in and check all the things again. And every time I did this, everything was turned off. Everything was turned off. I could always count on myself. But I kept repeating that pattern to affirm, oh, maybe you didn't do it. And then I became very aware. I became very conscious. I said, no, I'm leaving the house and I don't have to check again. And I would do that over and over until it's gone. I'm leaving and I know I can count on myself. I can trust myself. I don't have to check 20 times. That is a survival mechanism. The perfectionism, I have to adapt myself in order to receive. No. Don't leave yourself. Stay with yourself. Stay with your truth. Trust yourself. And those are very tiny mechanisms that are running subconsciously that you have to become aware of. And that's why intuition has always something to do with boundaries. There is an absolute correlation between intuition and boundaries. Why? In order for you to follow your intuition, you have to be in your own energy field. You have to be in your body. So if you were a child, you were in that environment where you constantly had to leave yourself, you would look at your caregivers and they wouldn't give you the space to follow your intuition, to being guided in a safe way. You would always adapt. This is where people pleasing is coming from. And you would learn, oh, it's not safe to trust myself. It's not safe to stay within my own energy field. And by that, you are abandoning yourself and you have absolutely no boundaries. Boundaries is not, no, you cannot do this. Boundaries is the way of your being. It's your state. It's awareness. It's staying within you while the outer world is doing whatever they are doing. And the first people you learn that from are your parents. Because if they would confirm you're safe, you are allowed to express yourself, you are allowed to learn, you are allowed to expand instead of shrinking and holding back, you would be very bright in your being. You wouldn't be afraid to take up space because it's safe for you. So following intuition has to do with nervous system, with safety. And if you didn't get that as a child, it's time to do that now. It's time to come back to your body, to become aware, what am I actually feeling? What do I want? What is my body telling me? Because the intuition lives in the body. And if your body felt unsafe for a long period of time, it's time to release it. It's no longer serving you. You are now the person that is taking care for your safety and your emotional well-being. And so what I want to give you with this is, first of all, connect to the time where your intuition is formed. I highly recommend to work through this workbook. And then you're coming back to the present time. Now, you're connecting to your body. For me, this is my story, this is how it worked for me. A lot of somatic work, plant medicine ceremonies, through these type of healing modalities, your whole nervous system is being released and freed from stagnant energies. And I was not aware of that because I was operating from that normal survival mechanism. So learn to sit with yourself. I had to learn to meditate. I couldn't sit with myself. Learn to be present with what is coming up. If you are being very nervous or you can't wait, you have impatience in your body, there is something to look at. So the answers are already with you. And it is really starting with simple things. Not consuming any social media. Detox yourself from like any input you have and start looking within. It's really, really so simple to feel the level of safety from within rather than waiting that the outside world is giving it to you. So be aware, become very, very aware. Where am I not trusting myself? Where am I constantly seeking the approval of other people? Coming back to your feminine energy, your intuition is connected to God. Your intuition is connected to the divine. That is safety, that is love, that is groundedness. And that connection to God has something to do with the connection you have with the masculine. If there is just any tiny tendency within your nervous system that you can't trust the masculine, that is a wound, that is trauma, and that has to be released because your intuition is also influenced to the level of how much you trust the masculine. God became my heavenly Father. And I became very honest and raw with that I don't know how it feels to be safe with a masculine. I learned that through Albert because he was the first safe masculine man emotionally in my life, and through God. He became my father I never had. And that is healing. And that is something you need to let it in. You need to let the masculine in order for you to flourish, because healthy masculine wants you to be safe. There is an inherent need in the masculine energy in God that he wants you to expand in your love, in your intuition, in your softness, in your own individual strength. The masculine from his pure essence never wants to shut down the feminine, never wants to hurt the feminine. No. That is wounded masculine energy. The masculine in his essence, in his core, is very protective and very present. And you have to be aware, how's your connection to the masculine? How's your connection to God? And that is the level how to be more connected to your intuition. So, wherever you are, day by day, step by step, start trusting yourself. Start trusting that you are also guided. Not from the head. Drop back into your heart. Drop back into your body. And from there, you will see that the world is supporting you. The world is not putting you down. That's yourself. The world and God has something good for you. And it's your job to drop into that energy. Okay, beautiful souls. I always love it to share the wisdom and love that is coming from my heart. And if you're new here, welcome. I see you. And I'm curious, how is your connection to your intuition? How is your connection? Are you connected to your intuition, or is it something you're working on, you reconnect to it? Or are you even more connected than ever? So let me know, and I wish you a beautiful day, and I see you in the next video. Bye!